Yeah, okay, I know, I was just messing around. Hey, comic fans, I'm Ken with Great Stories Presents Comic Talk Shop, and I'm here today with the main man, Chris Mills.
Yeah, hold the applause, hold the applause. How's it going, Ken?
Good, Happy New Year, brother.
Happy New Year to you. It's good to be back in the studio.
Did you do anything for New Year's?
What did I do for New Year's? I did a whole lot of nothing. I didn't even make it to midnight.
You
How
didn't
about
make it to midnight?
No.
Yeah, it wasn't really a whole lot, though. I
No.
mean, the ball fell, and then I think that was it. Then I fell asleep.
I have learned as I've gotten older that the more comfortable I am, the more apt to falling asleep I am.
Yeah, so you must have been in a pretty good spot.
So yeah, basically, we've got this really, I thought it was the greatest idea in the world to put that big screen TV on our wall in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And I mean, what could be better? Like the comforts of your bed, a big movie screen.
Yeah.
And no, I mean, I make it about 20 minutes
Yeah.
now
You
because
never
I'm too comfortable, and then it's like I'm passed out.
You never
It's
finish
awful.
anything. Like, you never finish a movie or a show or anything. Just like halfway through, you're asleep.
That's it. That's it. So that was, basically my world on New Year's Eve. It was, have some dinner. It was a nice dinner. Maybe you ate a little too much. Kind of inspired that food coma thing.
Yeah.
And then I can't even remember what we were watching. Honestly, like I did catch like Mad Max Fury Road finally.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that was on
Yeah.
HBO Max. Yeah, I was.
I'm only 5 years too late on that one.
I haven't seen it yet. I heard it's great.
It was a really good movie. I mean, this isn't a pop culture shoot right now, but I
Maybe
mean,
we'll talk about it. Like, I know no one. It's already 5 years old. But,
yeah,
you know,
everyone
let's
else
see if we
has
can
already
talk
seen
about
it. So,
today.
but
It'll just be for us and everyone else that hadn't seen it and saw it on HBO Max this week.
yeah, I think so. There was probably like 13 of us left that hadn't seen it, so we took care of that. Checked it off the list.
Yeah.
We started to watch The Queen's Gambit.
Oh, great show.
Yep. And so that we're only one episode in, but I'm hooked already. So
Yeah, great characters. Great characters.
yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, we made it past midnight, but just barely. I think as like I've
good.
gotten older, we realized like nothing. You remember when we were young, like all the best stuff happened after midnight. That's when things got like interesting. Now I've
That's
come
true.
to the point in my life where like nothing good happens after midnight.
Nothing good can come of it. And also like people watching like the ball drop on New Year's Eve, really like, what were there like 3 people in the crowd to see it this time?
Yeah.
And, like
It was a ghost town.
and
Like,
it
Times
was-
Square was a ghost town.
exactly. It was basically the media.
Yeah.
The media was there to see it,
It's
and
like, I
no
don't
one
care
else.
about watching Ryan Seacrest like count down the ball drop.
Ryan Seacrest. Ugh. Who does his hair?
You know what's funny? Like their New Year's Eve thing is still like Dick Clark's New Year's Eve with Ryan Seacrest. It's like, that's too many names. Take one of them off the title, for Pete's sake.
It's kind of like their moment, right? It's their moment, really.
Should we just start this? We should start the segment again.
We should. This is kind of funny. But
But
anyway,
I digress. But let's talk about comics.
it's okay though, because I think that's the perfect introduction to a crazy comic like the one we're going to talk about here.
That's a good point, because like this is a very fun,
You got a hangover from New Year's Eve still?
Yeah, it was like
Is
3
that-
days ago. I'm still getting sober.
Brain's not working yet. All right.
This is a fun book.
It's a fun book.
This is a fun book.
It's a fun book.
It's written by Chelsea Cain.
Yes.
Probably most well-known writer of the Mockingbird series from Marvel, which featured that cover.
Yes.
Ask Me About My Feminist Agenda. That was really well received. Across the internet for sure. She's a fantastic writer, and
That was a good series.
that was a fantastic series. So when I saw that she was doing this 4-issue miniseries for Dark Horse called Spy Island,
Yep.
it sounded really bizarre. It's the premise is basically there's this island that's right on the edge of the Bermuda Triangle.
Yep.
And it's like host to like this hotel that has a lot of like really zany characters. They're like spies, secret agents, like all these like really seedy characters.
And global power brokers.
Yeah, there's just like a lot of
Right.
weird stuff, and not only are there like weird characters there, but there's also like supernatural stuff happening as well. Like there's mermaids, there's a kraken, there's like all
Yeah.
these like like aliens.
Yeah, it's not at all what I expected.
No, me neither. I was expecting more of like a Bondy kind of like, spy thriller.
Yep.
And while it was a spy thriller,
It's got those elements. Yeah.
there are the spy elements thrillers.
Yeah.
It was so funny. I couldn't get around how enjoyable this series was.
Yeah.
Especially, I think, beyond just like Chelsea Kane's writing, the pacing and the plotting of the page layouts.
Yes.
I think it had some of the most just like really inventive panel layouts and page layouts that I've read in a comic.
And not only from the story standpoint, but how about all those fake advertisements
Yes.
that
Right.
were in there?
that looked like an ad out of a comic book, like just like a serious one, but it was about like stuff that was like relevant to the island.
Yeah, like that encyclopedia set. You
Yes.
could order a set of encyclopedias about mermaids,
the mermaids,
and
yeah.
and the history of them.
It was so bizarre, but
Yep.
we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, we are.
So the story, it follows Nora Freud,
Yes.
who is tasked to kind of like be on the island to look after something. Originally, we don't know. Later on, we find out that she's been tasked to look out for her father.
Witness protection.
Yeah, her father being this like other like crazy super spy that
Yep.
like got into all sorts of shenanigans. Basically, got exiled to this island.
Yes. Because he's not such a nice guy.
Because then people don't like him. And
That's right.
so the premise kind of like follows Nora as she's investigating a string of murders around the island that are being perpetrated, they believe, by like mermaids that have gone rogue. Like there's like just like kids that are on the beach looking for mermaid teeth, which are highly valuable.
Yeah.
And they go missing, and then they turn up, and they're just like all dismembered, and there's all these other bodies that are
Yes.
floating up to shore, and just like just pieces of them.
And what's the only evidence that is usually left?
It's like what is it? It's like their fingers.
Their digits. Yeah.
And it's really messed up. And so Nora calls in her estranged sister Connie to the island, who's a marine biologist,
Cryptozoologist?
crypto marine biologist.
yeah.
Something like that.
Yep.
There was this great sequence where it was talking about like how Nora and Connie never really got along, and they were kind of like recapping Connie's boyfriends, and like it was just like this page with like 4 like horizontal panels, and the layout was like the exact same except for her boyfriend like just got like it just got like weirder and weirder as like each panel went on.
Yes.
Like it was just like a normal dude, it was like a punk, then it was like I don't know, it was like a monster or something.
Yeah,
And like she's introducing him. Connie's there just being very Nora's there just like being very like quiet, and her dad's just like reading the paper or something, like not even paying any attention.
Yes.
And it's just like another great example of like just like really funny panel layouts where the gag itself was like kind of funny, but the execution was great. And I think that's
it was. Yeah.
that's just something that keeps coming up throughout this book, where the execution of their jokes is so funny. Like when Connie arrives to the island,
Yeah.
at some point, like Nora goes through her purse, like, and there's like this like bit where she's like, "Did you go through my purse?" And Nora's like, "No." And then like the next page is like this like basically like a diagram just showing like this little teeny tiny purse, and then just like a massive amount of stuff that's like come out of it. It's like the contents of Connie's purse.
Yes.
And it's just like these sight gags, just so funny.
And it does so well with the humor too, where it never actually the humor is zany enough to be just like to make you just laugh out loud when you're reading it.
Yeah, it's so absurd.
But it doesn't go so far as to basically distract from the story.
Yes, that's
you just lose the script, right?
That's a great point, because like these jokes are like very absurd, but they're also not nonsensical, where like they are adding more substance to the plot as like weird and
zany but smart humor.
Yeah, as like off kilter as they are, they actually do progress the plot forward.
Yeah. It's definitely one of the most unique stories that I've ever written, or ever read, rather, on a comic page. I mean, I'm not as versed maybe with the independents as you are. I've stuck more with like the Marvel and the DC stuff. I've delved into things like Morning Glories, which is a great title. Actually, you may have been the one to recommend that one to me.
Actually, you were the one that recommended Morning Glories to me.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Must be my old age. Anyway.
Senior moment.
Senior moment. But, so more and more recently, I have gone more the independent route. But I've never read anything quite like this before. I mean, the elements of the 1960s Bondish type of thing. And then you've got this like crazy like sci-fi element to it.
Yeah.
And in between, there's that murder mystery. So it's like, it's got all these different genres blended together.
And it's there's also a family story underneath it too.
And a family story. Yeah. It does.
It really does. So it definitely blends like all these different genres into this weird mishmash of a comic, where you kind of wonder. I mean, there are definitely like it's not a book that spoon feeds you the plot. Like
no.
The first like 2 issues, I'm just like, what the heck is going on? What is this comic about?
We don't even know. Right. Exactly. What is this trying to be right now?
We don't even meet the main antagonist of the book until the 3rd issue, where we're introduced to their father proper, where he's been basically moonlighting as a mime on the island.
This is one of my favorite things in the story. The fact that he's a mime.
I was like, why is he a mime? And it's because like no one pays attention to mimes. And that scene where they're trying out like different costumes,
Yeah.
like what's his alter ego gonna be, and like
Right.
nothing's working.
Right.
And then
And I have to say, I like we don't even know where. Like we talked about this before we started to shoot. We were like, we don't even really know how we're going to present this, right?
yeah,
Because it's so nonsensical.
It defies like your any conventional like storytelling.
It does, and it's really one of those things. You just have to experience it for yourself, and we really encourage you to do so. I think you're depriving yourself if you don't. But one of my favorite gags in the whole story is the father's scuba suit.
Refresh me.
You have issue 4 there. What?
I love the recap. So the recap for issue 4,
Yeah.
to like recap all 3 issues, is just basically the father is a mime doing like mime stuff. And
Exactly.
that's it.
Exactly.
It's just,
And they use mime sign language underneath the way, because you can't talk underneath the water. But anyway, the scuba suit is a mime scuba suit.
I didn't even pick up that it is like the striped. It's like, of course, like why wouldn't a mime have a striped mime scuba suit?
It was absolutely fantastic.
I loved another one of those
It's
like
fantastic.
great sight gags from this is obviously because you can't talk underwater, they have to use sign language.
Yes.
And like their sign language is just like, like flipping you off, and like there's this whole like string of text explaining like what she's trying to convey.
Yes.
Or there's like that scene where like they're both just like have clenched fists. It's like, I'm gonna get you. It's like,
Right. You all must die at my hand.
I'm pretty sure that's not what that sign means, but they were able to convey it through the story so well.
That's right. That's right.
And yeah, I think I remember when we were talking before the shoot about like how are we going to actually discuss this book, because it's just so bizarre. The plot is just like, I mean, there is a plot in there, and
There
at
is.
the end it's tied up and you understand it.
Yeah.
But that's not actually what makes this book a great read.
No, not at all. Not at all. I agree. The plot, which defies my logic, because usually it's plot and story that drive me to enjoy anything like this. But it's really just the fact that they were able to throw all these elements at you, yet and still not have it knock you off the path of what it really was intended to be, is the magic of it.
Yeah, like
You
the plot was just like a vehicle to allow them to like tell like a gag, like a gag a second.
Yeah, it really was. And yeah, I don't know what else there is to say about it, but
I will say this: I wish that I appreciate that it's a self-contained story. It's 4 issues,
4
had
issues.
a very definitive arc. I would read this for like another easily 10 issues because it was just so fun.
Exactly. Like I felt a little bit sad at the end of issue 4. I was like, oh, this is so good. I want more. You know?
It was really like even among indies, like so I do read quite a lot of the independent comics, but there hasn't. I mean, there really isn't anything that I can compare this to on the level of just like smart writing,
No.
dialogue, sight gags, like just like funny punchlines. It was just
No.
nonstop.
I think it's achieved, and in credit to I'm glad I have the notes here. Chelsea Cain's ingenuity, basically, because she has
Chelsea
really
Cain
done.
and Leah Mitternick.
I think they've done something. They've created something that is honestly and truly unique in the comic world with Spy Island, in my mind.
I agree. I mean, I was honestly, I picked up the first issue based on a really cool cover, because it had this really like interesting, and all the covers actually really just like really cool and stylistic.
Yep.
But based off like cool cover, I like Chelsea Cain as a writer, and it had just like the advertisement for it, like, you know, was just so bizarre. I was like, well, I got to at least check it out.
Yep.
And I remember I read it. I was like, wow, I was just delighted. And then you had read it also, and we had talked about it. It was like, oh, this is really good. We gotta talk about it. And
Yep.
we actually wanted to talk about this previously, but I think
did, yeah.
knowing that it was a 4-issue arc, we kind of wanted to see how the whole thing played out before recommending it.
Yep. Which is a good recommendation on your part.
And I think after reading it all, I just highly recommend, if you haven't checked it out, to go read this. I don't know if you still have the issues out of Great Stories, but also, you know, it's going to be weird. 4 issues doesn't really make for much of a trade.
It doesn't actually. Yeah. Well, it'll be a very cheap trade for everybody.
Hopefully,
that's for sure.
Hopefully, this is one of those like $9.99ers.
Yeah, exactly.
We can get it on the cheap, but whenever this comes out, if you can find the singles, get the singles. If you
We'll probably
can't,
see it in about 3 months. I think that's generally. I think they're kind of like on movie cycle now, aren't they?
I'm not sure I don't know how Dark Horse does their trades. I know Marvel's pretty quick to get theirs out.
I'm
in
psyched
images,
to
though.
actually get the trade because I kind of resolved this year. This is my resolution. It's so meaningful in a societal way. But no, I want to actually start collecting trades. How's that? How's that for monumental? All right, real life-changing event here. But
Doing good in this world.
yeah, you know, but like I just feel like this is one of those ones that it's gonna have a firm place in my collection, and the rereadability is just going to be very high for this one for me.
Yeah, I suspect that this book will gain a cult following, and the quality is just so good that I would be surprised if this is just like another just becomes a flash in the pan series that kind of is forgotten. I think this book really has something unique.
Yeah.
And I would love to see either these creators do more with it or somebody do more in a similar vein, because I haven't had that much fun reading a series in a long time.
Do you think this could be translated into some kind of small screen or large screen offering?
Oh, I mean, it would be so hard.
I think that would be challenging.
Yeah, because like again, so many of the gags felt like it had to be presented in comic form, just like based on the way the panels led you through the setup of the joke and then the payoff.
Right.
I'm not saying that it couldn't be done, but you'd need to have a visionary director to be able to actually pull off some of those jokes.
Agree. Well, definitely check out Spy Island. This one is a must-read for you. If we're going to start off 2021 with a real kick-ass, winner, well, this is it. So hopefully it'll be in graphic novel format soon for you. And if not, go combing those comic racks in back bins for these issues, because they're fantastic. And I think it'll be probably looked back as probably one of the best titles of 2020. I think
so.
So
I mean, I don't toss that around lightly, but
Nope.
I mean, it feels like I do for these shoots. It feels like we've only been like reviewing some of the best stuff, which is actually pretty awesome.
that's true. Should we start like purposely reading bad stuff or presenting it to the crowd?
No, I don't think anybody wants to just hear us like reviewing bad, terrible stuff.
Well, we should bring Tyler back because he's really good at panning stuff.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so maybe he could just have his own show where he just like basically makes fun, just one camera on Tyler.
Right, we'll just force him to read like DC and just like you just subject the audience to him just like bitching about DC's characters and how they're not fun. I'm sure people will love that.
Phil's giving the no shake. Well, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. I guess, oh, camera's over here. We really appreciate it, and we want to wish you all a happy new year. We can look at that. Ken just decided to.
No one knows what's going on.
Huh?
No one knows what's going on.
That's my holiday belly for you all. That's all the food that I ate because I haven't been able to do anything else. Can't get out of the house except to come here. Anyway, thank you, everyone. We apologize for our antics, but we hope to see you again really soon, and thanks for watching.